Are you thinking about adding geese to your farm, like Steve here? Well, there's lots of reasons to do it, and there's some reasons you might not want to. We're going to talk about the pros and cons coming up next.
Yeah, I'm not even sure he knows what he's doing. I don't think the camera's even on for that last video. When are you coming back? Okay, hurry. All right, that was Eric. He's gonna be back for the next video.
Okay. All right, well, before we start talking about geese, we have another question from Vicky Ann Painting with Oils, and she asked, since y'all are good at giving rational takes on pros and cons of certain things, maybe you could help out new owners with lash eggs. Interesting topic.
Right. So lash eggs, they're a very serious problem caused by salpinginitis. I think I said that right. It's a bacterial infection in the oviduct. So a lash egg isn't actually an egg. It's a firm, kind of rubbery mass full of pus, tissue, and some egg material. If your hen lays one, you need to immediately separate it from the flock.
Yeah, you don't want that infection that she has spreading to others. So you're going to separate her from the flock, and hygiene is important at this time. So you're going to bathe her, disinfect the vent area, disinfect anything that lash egg came in contact with. So remove that egg, get the bedding material from the nest, disinfect that area, put new bedding in. And then you want to monitor your chicken. You look for signs of illness, things like, is she lethargic? Does she have a loss of appetite? If she's showing any symptoms of being ill after you've removed her and cleaned and disinfected everything, you probably need to take her to a vet, because this could be a very serious infection. And there's a good chance your chicken might not make it if she doesn't have veterinary assistance at that point.
Yeah.
All right, well, Steve, you've talked about adding geese to your farm lately. Why would you want to do that?
Because they're awesome. Geese are awesome. I know some people have some hangups about geese. I'm really excited to get geese. I think they offer a number of advantages. Hard to just narrow it down why I want them.
Okay. So how about for this pros and cons video, since you're looking to get geese, you list the pros. And even though I'm not necessarily against geese, I'll just list the cons, because somebody has to if we're going to do pros and cons. And we'll let the viewers decide for themselves.
Okay, that sounds good. Now I'm going to start with geese are good-looking birds, right? They're majestic looking. They have that unique presence on the farm that you don't get from other poultry.
Yeah, but what isn't good looking, what isn't majestic, is the mess that they make. So geese are pretty messy animals. They poop a lot, and they poop very smelly poop. So, if you could put up with that, awesome. Otherwise, you might not want geese around.
All right, that's a fair point. The other thing about geese is they're fantastic foragers.
Yeah.
So whereas with chickens and even ducks and turkeys and that kind of stuff, they'll go out and forage some. There's still an awful lot of nutrition that you have to provide. There's some supplementation because chickens aren't getting everything they need on the field. Geese are grazers. They survive on grass. So if you have grass, geese are good. There's very little supplementation that you have to offer, so that can be a huge help for the budget. And they also work as weeders, right? They clean up weeds and stuff for you. So that's an advantage of geese.
That's true, and that's a great quality about geese, but part of the problem with that is they don't always distinguish very well between what you want them to eat and what you don't want them to eat. So they're not really suitable for some lawns and gardens, as they can be very destructive to some plants. Maybe if you keep them penned up in a certain area or something like that.
Yeah, just like chickens or ducks, right? If there's certain things you don't want them to touch, you got to keep them away from that.
Yeah.
But the other nice thing about geese is they're particularly hardy, right? They're very low maintenance. They seem to have developed a more robust healthy immune system. They don't struggle with a lot of the diseases and problems that chickens and turkeys and ducks suffer with. So geese are very hardy. They need very little shelter, that kind of stuff. They're very cold tolerant, hardy animals that can survive pretty much on their own in a lot of ways.
Yeah. Now, one of the cons to geese, and this is probably true of any waterfowl, is that they need substantial water, right? They don't necessarily need a pond or a pool to swim in, but they need a good tub of water. They need to be able to dunk their entire heads underwater, and the water tends to get really messy really quick. And I'm the type that just doesn't like to go out there 2-3 times a day and give them fresh water, or in the winter putting a tub of water out there. Now I got to have a heater hooked up, so that water can be a pain in the butt with waterfowl.
Gotcha. Another pro for geese is, we've all seen the YouTube video of the poor bugger that walked up next to the goose nest and is getting chased by geese. But geese are very loyal.
Yeah.
So if you raise them from goslings at a young age and they imprint on you, geese are one of the animals that's most likely to imprint and form that bond. And they form very close bonds with their owners when they imprint like that and become a loyal, friendly companion. And geese have a longer lifespan. So it's like having, this friend, and they're great. They're friendly. They'll protect you with those that they bond with. Very loyal.
Yeah, if you bond with a goose, I mean, they can live 20 to 25 years, and that's a long period of time of entertainment if you have a nice goose that you get along with. The problem is geese don't always get along with other animals and people, and they may not mix well with other poultry. And this is particularly true if you have multiple geese. If you have one or two, they're typically easier to get along with. But if you're keeping a flock of geese, they tend to only hang out with one another. They want nothing to do with the chickens, the ducks, the turkeys, or you. And they can actually be quite antisocial in those types of settings.
Kind of like my teenagers.
Right? That's true.
Nothing to do with you, just I'll hang out over here by myself with my other teenage friends. Another pro of geese is they're productive, right?
Yeah.
So way back when, geese were very popular for table, right? They're succulent, delicious meal. That's kind of fallen out of favor because geese aren't as popular. But a goose is going to feed a lot more people than a chicken, and it's a succulent, delicious meal.
Yeah.
They also have things like, their down feathers and things like that are also useful. Geese will also lay a few eggs. So if you're into that, they're productive animals.
True, but if you're in it for the eggs, and let's be honest, I don't want to collect feathers from my birds either. But if eggs are the reason you want fowl, geese probably lower numbers than just about any other poultry birds. And the eggs tend to not be as tasty as chicken eggs or turkey eggs or duck eggs. So I'm not getting geese for eggs.
Yeah, usually goose, because they're larger, they're usually used for crafts and not for eating. That people will buy those shells and use them for crafts. The other good thing I would say about geese, and you kind of alluded to this before, is geese are fantastic guardian animals. They can raise the alarm. They can help, kind of deter or even fight off smaller predators. Their large size can be a little bit intimidating, even to the UPS guy that drives up the driveway.
True.
So, and I don't fault them. I've seen those videos too. But geese are often used as guard animals in poultry flocks.
And I'll be honest, if I was to get a geese or two, it would be for this purpose, because they will raise that alarm. They will chase away predators. They will chase away the UPS driver. But being good guard birds comes because they can be very aggressive and they can be very noisy. And that isn't necessarily a quality you want in your farm animals all the time. So they might see you as the threat and try to chase you away. If you're out in the yard, they might continually squawk and try to get you to go away And this is especially true if you have mating geese. So if you have a pair of geese, now I don't have any geese at my farm, but I do have wild geese that come in regularly and nest at my place. And you don't want to go anywhere near the nest. Neither does my dog, neither does my chickens, neither does the cats. Don't go anywhere near those goose nests because they're not going to be pleasant to be around.
Yeah, and that's another pro of geese, right? You've got a wide variety. So there are some goose breeds that make fantastic guard animals because they are a little bit more aggressive, a little more watchful, a little more, spiky, I guess, a little more antisocial. There are other geese that excel really well at weeding. There are other geese that, are fantastic table birds. So you have a whole variety, and as well as kind of temperaments and what their primary use is, you also get a wide variety of looks.
Yeah.
Both in colors and feather styles. There are some really awesome looking goose breeds out there that you can add to your farm. So I think
I think was your first pro on this list. And that is probably one of the cool things that I like about geese is that they are such good looking birds. And since I am building a duck pond, I've considered adding a goose or two to be a guardian animal, but I also have it set up there that they can live with the ducks as well. So I'm not really opposed to geese, but I think it's important that you know the pros and cons of anything you're going to do on your hobby farm before just jumping in.
Right. And that's true of anything on the farm, right? Do your research and then kind of start out slow.
Yeah.
Right. You don't want to be like, oh, I watched the awesome Hobby Farm Guys videos on geese and go out and order, 30 goslings.
Right.
And then next thing you're like, oh, what did I do? I hate the Hobby Farm Guys. We don't want you to hate us. Right. So start off slow. Maybe start with one or two and see how that works and then go from there. And that goes, again, with everything on the hobby farm.
Yeah, definitely. So what do you think? Are you like Steve, you're team goose and you're ready to jump in and get some geese? Or maybe you already have geese on your farm. Let us know what it is you like about them. Or if you're on the other side of the fence, let us know why you think maybe they're not right for you.
Yep. And if you'll hit that like button if you want to see Eric back by next video, that would be fantastic. Or if you don't want to see Eric back, hit that like button and let us know.
Yeah.
Right? Also, please consider subscribing to the channel. It's a free subscription. And as always, keep on hobby farming.